On January 17th, 2023, Redux wrote an article exposing a charity founder for making some rather seedy statements about his interest in children on the forums for the very charity website that he built to end child sexual abuse. His statements consisted of things such as he looked at children for masturbatory purposes, he owned a child sex doll, and he had traps in his yard specifically for catching little boys. I'm not done with you yet. I kind of like you. Perspectives to give, both as a Christian transgender talking points. This individual is one Lawrence Bayern.
By the way, his last name is actually Bayern, but I repeatedly call him Bayner in this video.
A 60-year-old man who founded Prostasia. Prostasia presents itself as a foundation to end child sexual abuse, when in actuality it spends most of its time defending child pornography in different styles and countries. Now listen, I am probably as open-minded as they come, but if you are writing articles condemning legislation for banning child exploitation material in any way, shape, or form, and that is exclusively what you're doing, and there is evidence that you are actually attracted to children, you are a pedophile and should probably be arrested. I'm not going to be calling these people maps as they want. Actually, Prostasia has an article literally defending maps and trying to partner with like a map community, like a map support group. Now I do agree that adults who suffer from attraction to children do need a support group.
But what they do not need is a hug box, which is what this map support group seems to be.
They should get individual therapy sessions. Probably not group therapy. Group therapy could probably just reinforce their inappropriate thoughts and desires. I'm not going to be calling these people maps, and I'm going to be avoiding using
the keyword as much as possible.
So I'm going to be referring to them as paddies. Once you start using map, you are giving them some power. So if you click on one of the links in Redux's magazines where Prostasia goes out to condemn new legislation banning legal forms of like child pornography, right below you'll get recommendations to other examples of Prostasia defending different types of Japanese, Eastern Asian, anime-style types of pornography. Now this is actually pretty interesting because one of the paintings that Bayern uses as an example of like
legal child pornography
is a painting by Edvard Munch called Puberty, which features a very emaciated looking scared little girl who's covering some of her important parts and showing other important parts. Now currently it is illegal to have photos of naked children, photos of children who are clothed or partially clothed but in very suggestive positions.
Video footage of children doing anything sexual.
What is unfortunately not internationally illegal is drawings, fantasy stories, which we actually will get into, Shotokan, which includes little boys, and Lolicon, which includes little girls. Basically, what Bayern has been doing is he has founded an organization with the attempt at ending child exploitation by
promoting child pornography and pedophilic ideas.
He also claims that there are other charities that do the exact same thing.
Speaking open-mindedly for a second,
I can see what they're trying to do.
I know that a lot of the paddies are trying to end child sexual abuse because they do care about children, or they claim to. They want to end that by educating them about sex ed so that they understand what's going on and that they are no longer being abused, but they actually can enjoy it, or they actually know enough to consent. The reason the age of consent exists is because children are not mentally, emotionally, or physically prepared to be in a sexual situation. It's not just because they are uneducated.
Also, controversial opinion, but age of consent is just a social construct. However, 18 is a happy medium because even though at 16 you seem more physically mature, you're still not mentally prepared. However, you're not completely mentally mature until you're 25. Still, we don't want any 22-year-olds getting together with 12-year-olds. That is why 18 is a happy medium.
educating them is not going to suddenly make them able to consent. Another reason they project to end the stigmatization of MAPS is so that potentially people can get help without being ashamed, but all it's doing is just normalizing minor attraction as its own sexuality, so that the LGBT community fights for the rights of paddies as much as it did any other sexuality. Oh, by the way, it is definitely a sexual fantasy of a lot of these older men to educate children about puberty. There was a case of this on TikTok. I actually experienced this when I went undercover on Pinterest. There was a guy who wanted me to ask him questions about crushes and puberty. Whenever these communities say they want to educate children about sex ed or they want to destigmatize pedophilia, it is completely in their best interest as people who are attracted to children to get away with their fantasies without actually getting arrested. Now, in addition to being very active on the Prostasia Forums, there's the Prostasia Foundation website, and then there's also something called the Prostasia Forums, where paddies can get together to discuss current pedophile-related issues and give their take on it, and all encourage and support each other in their attraction to youth. And Boehner himself has been very active on this foundation,
including discussing his interest in children,
where he actually just confesses outright that he'll go out into the world, watch children, say at the playground or something, go home and fap to it. He also says that he looks at legal pictures of naked children, and at first I was like,
legal pictures of naked children. I'm sorry, you can't just make up words like that.
but then I realized there's old art, there are magazines, National Geographic, you could easily find pictures of naked children that are legal. That's why I agree with a lot of these pornography bans to end all distribution of nude children, because yes, absolutely, children are going to get abused in the process. Even if they never know about it, it still reinforces these feelings for actual paddies to then go out and enact their fantasies elsewhere or to groom a child online. Also, the Prostasia Forums is where you really get a sense of Boehner's age. Nobody will know if I'm lusting in my heart if I look at images. Or the fact that he uses the profile picture for Prostasia as the same profile picture on Facebook. The thing I found about paddies, actually, in my experience on Pinterest, is that they're incredibly stupid, so shameless and brazen about what they want and what they're interested in. They use their full names, their real names, and some of them are even dumb enough to include photos of themselves in their profile pictures saved, or in one case, his phone number, which is perfect because he actually had nude pictures of children. In addition to being very active on the Prostasia Forums, Boehner has been very active on another website called BoyChat. BoyChat is an extremely messed up website. It's legal. It's been legal for 28 years now. Gay paddies called boy lovers. So if you look up boy lover on most social media sites, it will block the search results because it is a known Whoa! Boy lover is actually an internet-known pro-pedo thing to call yourself, such as a map. You know, a boy lover, just an innocent lover of boys. Who doesn't love boys? Everyone loves BoyChat is powered by a website hosting platform called Free Spirits, which powers a bunch of different pro-pedo websites where they can hive mind, encourage each other in their pursuits with young friends. And they also victimize themselves and claim that everyone around them just hates their kind because they're discriminatory or they just don't understand, further warping the mentality. In addition to the main BoyChat area where they just introduce a topic and there are threads and message threads, but there are also different places to submit and archive links.
I assume of, say, YouTube channels with children.
Did you know, families, that if decide to post pictures of your children on Instagram or post videos of your children on TikTok, or kids watching, if you are posting footage of yourself on the internet, did you know that there are a bunch of 60-year-old men and even 28-year-old men, I talked to one of those,
28? No way. You look older than 28, but okay.
who are not only screenshotting and saving your things, but also archiving your links and posting them on these websites such as BoyChat so that other old men can come to your site. It's a community, and you all need to be careful, because until we can get BoyChat shut down, it's going to be the back spider network, the haunting darkness that lurks behind every child's account. Another thing I found on BoyChat is this thing called Boy Rights, where people basically write down their poetic or narrative fantasies about little boys. And one I will highlight in particular because that's one I found. It's basically an unfortunately rather beautifully written poem, but rather creepily written poem by a man about a little boy that he knows, and he literally describes this boy as a blonde-haired, tan-skinned boy. So, you know, somebody who looks like the young male version of me. And these fatties also don't even know what tan means. They think tan is like just a shade darker than almond white. What's especially creepy to me is that it was very much written in the prose of Humbert Humbert. Now, Humbert Humbert is the narrator and also the antagonist of the classic novel Lolita, which is a 1950s novel that somebody named Nabokov wrote to explore the villainous mind of a paddie who is interested in a 12-year-old girl. The story is written to condemn the main character and to show the inside of his warped narcissistic brain and how he is justifying these horrible things that he's doing to a 12-year-old girl. So anything written by Humbert Humbert is written off as villainous. It's not the author's own thoughts. So when I'm reading poetry in a similar style and about a similar subject to Lolita, I am freaked out because this is real. This is a real guy who really knows a boy, who's really interested and really feels this way. And the website is full of people who do, and this website is still up for these horrible people who think that grooming children is okay, who want to normalize relationships between children and adults. Also, the Prostasia owner, who goes by Larry2 on BoyChat, just posted this memory of these two boys he met when he was younger just this morning, and I know it's him because he's begun identifying himself with this picture. On another note, there was this horrible debate about whether teenage boys have a fetish for dirty old men, the same way some dirty old men have a fetish for teenage boys, and, like, this shows how disconnected they are from children and reality. Like, these people interpret anything children do as flirting. So why in their right mind do they think children would have a thing for dirty old men? Like, obviously, all kinds of fetishes exist in this world, but, like, this, just no. And it's powered by Free Spirits, which is a whole web hosting platform. And they have their own symbol, their own secret symbol, which is a blue triangle with like a curly Q inside. I don't want to get all conspiratory, but I do think that this is probably connected to Pinterest. I found on Pinterest was not individual people who were grooming children, but actually whole communities. They all follow each other, they all follow the same kid. They systematically reach out to people, they form group chats with little kids, they ask kids to make videos, and as long as they're a community, they're much stronger and children are more likely to get hurt. They'll go on their own individual pursuits on social media, and then they'll all discuss it on BoyChat.
Yeah, like I found this account, like I'm gonna share this account with everybody.
This very much matters to me because I feel myself kind of unintentionally pulled into this community. It started when I was just making an account on Pinterest and I found myself the target of men who were attracted to little blonde boys because I kind of looked like one at the time, and my heart breaks for these kids who, like, frankly look like me. But even then, these kids who are like my brother's age, they don't know any better, and also, like, nobody cares about the boys.
We try to make girls aware all the time, like, protect your body on the internet because there are grown men after you.
Same with boys as well. We should teach little boys not to take off their shirts on social media because there are horrible people who misinterpret it and will, like, save their images forever and distribute it. These are not paddies who recognize I have an issue and are trying to get help. These are paddies who are finding a community, enabling each other, and victimizing themselves. They are monsters. They are after your children. And they're after anything that looks like a child. I want to end this episode. I want to end this episode
of the third season of All Their Own News.
I want to talk about something called Project Raven. It was started July 2022 to archive and monitor different darknet websites, specifically ones that promote pedophilia. One of the founders, Dr. Alaric Nod, he was monitoring and recording stuff about Prostasia, the original charity, you'll remember, that is actually pro-pedo, and he submitted that to the British Journal of Sociology and History, and then withdrew it 24 hours later because the group pressured him to. We need to raise awareness about Prostasia, the charity, being pro-pedo.
That plenty of other charities may be pro-pedo as well.
BoyChat exists, these grown men who are leering at kids on the internet are probably on BoyChat and other websites. Lawrence P. Bayern, it doesn't seem like he's been arrested. He's just been called out for these illegal statements that he made. So he very much needs to be arrested.
Have his hard drive checked as well.
Because no doubt he has actual illegal content. Like, they all do. They literally all do.